The 2nd century AD was a period of profound historical importance in Judea under the shadow of Roman occupation. The region experienced a crucial intersection of political, religious, and cultural factors. The Jerusalem Temple, central to religious and cultural life, became a focal point of conflict and power. The Roman occupation imposed a system of governance that limited the autonomy of local authorities, creating a complex relationship between Jewish religious leaders and Roman authorities. Roman imposition directly affected daily life, culture, and governance in Judea. The occupation not only brought with it a dominant military presence, but also established a system of taxation and political control. The temple, as the spiritual and religious epicenter, attracted thousands of pilgrims annually, giving it not only religious significance, but also great political value. In this tense context of Roman occupation and intense religious tensions, figures like Caiaphas and Annas emerged as influential leaders. Their positions as high priests not only placed them at the center of Jewish religious life, but also transformed them into crucial political figures, with power over the temple and its practices. The relationship between Jewish religious leaders and the Romans was marked by constant tension, driven by the fear of uprisings and the desire to preserve privileges. This historical backdrop is essential to understanding the actions and decisions of figures like Caiaphas and Annas, especially concerning the arrest, trial, and crucifixion of Jesus. Now, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any details of this intriguing story. Let's continue the quest for autonomy. The preservation of order in the temple and the complex relations between Jewish and Roman authorities made this period a crucial chapter in the history of 2nd century Judea, leaving a legacy of events that continue to influence the understanding of biblical and historical narratives. Annas and Caiaphas held prominent positions in the context of 2nd century Judea. Both were prominent religious leaders, playing crucial roles in the Jerusalem temple and the Jewish community of the time. Annas held the office of high priest not just once, but multiple times, establishing a priestly dynasty within his family. This repeated appointment further underscored his importance in the religious leadership of the era. Additionally, Annas established a sort of priestly dynasty by instituting a system of appointments within his family, thus ensuring the continuity of religious power within his lineage. While serving as high priest, Annas wielded considerable influence over the Jerusalem temple. He oversaw rituals, administered sacrifices, and ensured the observance of religious laws. His position was not limited to religious aspects alone. Roman occupation already created tensions, and the possibility of a charismatic figure uniting the masses around ideas that challenged established authorities was a source of great apprehension. This fear led to the conception of a plan to capture and arrest Jesus. Aware that arresting Jesus publicly could result in riots, Caiaphas and Annas sought a more cautious approach. They decided to act discreetly, without drawing public attention, but ensuring that Jesus was neutralized before his growing influence became a real threat. The plan was meticulously crafted. Caiaphas, known for his political cunning, led the initiative, taking advantage of the betrayal of Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' closest followers. Caiaphas and Annas found the ideal opportunity to carry out their goals. Judas, motivated by personal reasons or disillusionment, offered to hand over Jesus in secret. Thus, at the right moment, when Jesus was out of public view and in an environment less prone to cause an uproar, the plan was set into motion. The arrest occurred at night, minimizing the possibility of immediate reaction from the masses. Caiaphas and Annas, concerned with preserving order and their authority, ensured that Jesus' arrest was carried out quietly, thus avoiding the risk of an imminent revolt. At the heart of the plot against Jesus, Caiaphas played a leading role in the Sanhedrin, the Jewish council of religious leaders. He skillfully manipulated the process to justify Jesus' condemnation. His political cunning was evident when he argued that sacrificing Jesus was necessary to prevent uprisings and maintain peace in the nation. This strategy aimed not only to preserve political stability, but also the privileges and power of the religious leadership. Before Pilate, the Roman governor, Jesus faced a mock trial marked by false accusations. Caiaphas, representing the Jewish leadership, pressed for a decision that would culminate in crucifixion. Caiaphas's motivations were clear. Eliminating Jesus was seen as a necessary measure to preserve the status quo and prevent any perceived threat to religious and political authority. The decision to crucify Jesus was not just an act of punishment, but a calculated strategy to protect the interests of the Jewish religious leadership. Annas and Caiaphas, amidst their tensions and fears, played decisive roles in this outcome. The crucifixion of Jesus became a landmark event, highlighting the complexities of the relations between Jewish leaders and Roman authorities in second-century Judea. After Jesus' death, the post-crucifixion period revealed a persistence of Caiaphas's influence, as he refused to accept the evidence of Jesus' resurrection. His refusal to acknowledge this transformative event demonstrates the resistance of Jewish religious leadership to accept any challenge to its established authority. Caiaphas's denial of the resurrection was not just a matter of theological disagreement, but also a reaction to an event that shook the foundations of religious leadership at the time. Jesus' resurrection represented a validation of the messages and teachings he had preached. This was something Caiaphas and his peers were unwilling to accept, as it would challenge their own authority and the decisions made against Jesus. Beyond his refusal to accept the resurrection, Caiaphas played an active role in the persecution of Jesus' followers. These persecutions were an extension of Jewish leadership's resistance to the spread of the new beliefs that emerged around Jesus. Caiaphas, representing a religious authority that felt threatened by the growing Christian communities, sought to suppress the spread of what he saw as a threat to the established order. Caiaphas's involvement in persecutions included authorizing the arrest of Jesus' followers and even authorizing the persecution of some prominent figures such as Stephen, one of the first deacons of the early Christian church. His energetic stance against Christians reflected his determination to maintain the cohesion and authority of Jewish leadership, even in the face of the growing Christian movement that challenged their traditional beliefs. Annas, in turn, after playing a prominent role in Judea's religious leadership, met a fate that extended beyond the events surrounding Jesus' death. His reputation for corruption and his excesses in religious practices marked him as a controversial figure. After Jesus' crucifixion, Annas continued to exert influence in the Jerusalem temple. His prominent position was not limited to the immediate period following Jesus' death, but extended, showing the resilience of his authority even in the face of political and religious changes. However, historical records indicate that Annas eventually met his end at the hands of the Romans around AD 70. This event marked the end of Annas's life, but his influence and reputation endured even after his death. Annas's reputation for corruption was associated with questionable practices in the temple, including the trade of animals and currency exchange, as mentioned in the Gospels. These commercial activities in the temple, though profitable, contributed to Annas's poor reputation and that of other religious leaders of the time. The continued influence of Annas after the death of Jesus can be observed in the subsequent actions of his descendants. The priestly dynasty established by Annas endured, with some of his sons and relatives holding the position of high priest. On the other hand, the final fate of Caiaphas is somewhat curious. Sometime later, when workers were building a road in a park south of ancient Jerusalem, archaeologists came across a tomb, which upon examination revealed itself to be the final resting place of members of Caiaphas's family. The most ornate tomb bore the inscription of the name Joseph, identified as a son of the Caiaphas family. This discovery not only brought to light the existence of the tomb, but also sparked heated debates about its authenticity. The authenticity of the find was questioned by some scholars and archaeologists, generating an intense debate within the academic community. Proponents of its authenticity point to the correlation between the tomb's description and historical accounts by Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian of the time. The inscription of the name Joseph, son of the family of Caiaphas, aligns with narratives documented by Josephus, adding a level of credibility to the discovery. However, skeptics question its authenticity based on several factors, including the possibility of forgery or selective interpretation of the evidence. The debate remains open, and archaeologists continue to closely examine the tomb for more clues that could clarify its origin and connection to Caiaphas. The biblical narrative, with Caiaphas and Annas as central figures, invites reflection on the nature of power, leadership responsibility, and the ethical challenges that arise when personal interests collide with higher principles. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and click on one of the 2 videos that will appear on your screen. I'm sure you'll love them. Hugs, and stay blessed.